Week 5 in fantasy football is underway with a big injury already making headlines as Rob Gronkowski sits the pine tonight in Tampa Bay for the New England Patriots. We'll take a look at all the other key injury news and much more as OFN Fantasy Football for Week 5 on PSN starts now. All right, it's a Thursday night, the 5th of October, 2017. I'm your host, Greg DeFama, and a little late, but it's still October 5th, at least I think it is, as we take a look at the remaining games that lay ahead Sunday and Monday in the NFL for Week 5. 4 teams sitting off this week, and then, of course, the Patriots and Bucs already underway. So, but more than enough action and teams to talk about. So let's welcome in my co-host to the show, Jamal Murphy, Chief Fantasy Analyst at Ourlads.com. And you can also listen to his work as co-host of the Bill Road Non-Sports Podcast on iTunes. How you doing, Jamal?
Pretty good, all things considered. I'm all right.
All right. And also joining us, of course, is Dan Weinrich. And Dan is a sports producer and fantasy expert who got beat by me in fantasy football this week. So that means, let's see, Jamal beat me and I beat you. So,
Greg, I wish I could say you were an elite company. I've been getting beat by a lot of people this year.
What's up with that? What are you doing on this show then?
Hey, that's the thing about fantasy football. Best laid plans can sometimes lead to an 0-4 start, especially if you draft David Johnson.
0-4. You 0-4 somewhere?
In one of my 6 leagues, the league where I drafted David Johnson, where Yahoo gave me a grade of A+, and
I told you about
I
those
would
grades.
go undefeated. I'm 0-4.
Oh man. Well, I guess there's six leagues. You might be bound to go 0-4 in one of them.
Yeah.
Jamal, you 0-4 in any of your leagues?
No, but I'm 1-3 in a league. It usually does work out like that. I'm in 4 or 5 leagues, and in one or two, I'm doing really well. The other 2, you're in the middle of the pack, and then there's always one league where you're terrible. So that's the way it goes.
All right. Well, let's. Why don't we start off and talk about? We usually would talk about the Thursday night headlines, but I guess the only headline to talk about on Thursday is what I opened with, and that's that Rob Gronkowski's out. But this isn't a major injury, right, Jamal? Or actually, should I say, right, Dan? Who wants to take this one?
Listen, he's not playing. So, if Gronk, if he's on your team, he was the top, 2, 3, or 4 pick.
Yeah, some people might have got screwed because this happened pretty late. Most people thought by 2, 3 o'clock today that there was no doubt he was playing. So, and most people have heard this New England questionable nonsense before to think, oh yeah, Gronk's playing, and all of a sudden it went from definitely playing to not playing. So hopefully you're able to make that change in time.
Yeah, I have him in one of my leagues. It's a 10-team league. And it's actually the only league that I don't have a backup tight end in. And I wasn't even checking. I had no idea that they might declare him inactive. And then fortunately, I got a little alert at about, 6 o'clock saying that he probably wouldn't play. And so I wasn't even sure. I didn't really feel great throwing Dwayne Allen in there. So I just put him on my bench, and I figure I'll have to pick someone up, tomorrow for Sunday.
So, but who are you playing? Oh, you're playing somebody for Sunday.
Yeah, I was scrambling to decide, and then all of a sudden I said, wait, I'll just put Gronk on the bench, and I'll wait till tomorrow or Saturday, and really, there's Jack Doyle is in the concussion protocol. Maybe he'll play. I'll grab him.
You could take Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
There's Austin Seferian-Jenkins is in the mix. There's Jared Cook. There's Ryan Croft. There's a bunch of guys who could do okay.
Yeah, but, in the league where you get targets, Jared Cook will be okay. You just don't want leagues where there's catches.
Yeah, exactly. I got to get him one of those target.
It's a 10-team league, so you'll be all right.
Yeah, PTR, points per target. We got to get that.
All right, so those are your Thursday night headlines. As far as I think for the second straight week, Deshaun Watson's the most important story headline for the week, and I just keep putting more money on Houston to win the Super Bowl. As the odds only drop down to 33-1. No respect for the Houston Texans, and Deshaun Watson is playing like a man possessed But now, I mean, is Deshaun Watson slowly now turning into a potential, I wouldn't say starter, but he's now without question on every team in fantasy, Jamal. But if he keeps playing, I mean, if he plays a little bit more consistently like this, like he has been, considering he runs the ball and scores touchdowns on the ground, he's not the worst pinch starter out there. He might even be a starter by the end of the season.
Yeah, he's more than a pinch starter already. I mean, if he has another 30-point game fantasy-wise, he's going to be a starter in most leagues. I have to go with a pinch starter because, as we know, bye week started this week. I have Matt Ryan on a bye, and my pinch starter is Jacoby Brissett. So I would love to be able to throw Deshaun Watson in there. So I think he's way above, just fill-in status. He's a legit high-end backup at this point, and if he has a couple more good games, you're going to have to start him.
What was the headline for you, Dan, from last week? What'd you take from last week? What was a big deal for you?
Well, first of all, just throw in, I managed to get lucky and get Deshaun in 2 of my leagues, and I'm starting him in one of them.
There you
go. As far
go.
as I'm concerned, he's already started. The one I'm not starting him in is because I have Russell Wilson.
Did you put some Super Bowl money on him too?
No, but Greg, I was a little skeptical last week, and this week I feel better about your bet.
There you go.
I will say this though: no rookie quarterback has ever won the Super Bowl. So
that's always
first.
That's you know what they say about records.
That's right.
All right, so go ahead. Anything else?
Yeah, I mean the big story this week. I woke up on Tuesday morning and I was like, "What the heck am I going to do with this waiver wire?" Suddenly, there's like 10 really tasty speculative running back ads, you know, and it was really kind of like daunting. Like who do I trust? Alex Collins, Elijah McGuire, Latavius Murray,
CJ Procise, Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, I mean it's
Aaron Jones.
I was up late watching that Seattle game, and as soon as Carson went down, I immediately ran and snatched up Rawls or Lacey anywhere I could. But do I feel great starting either of them? Absolutely not.
No, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I got both of them in our league. And it's like, okay, because I didn't really know if I'd get both of them. But I did. And after I got both of them, I was like, yeah, you know what? I guess I should hold on to them. Why not? Because nobody knows who the heck's. Because, I mean, I would definitely go with Rawls if I was going to take one. Now, I'm not starting in any of them this week. But I would definitely think if I was in desperate mode and I had to start in one of my leagues and I did have both of them, Jamal, I'd have to go with Rawls because Procise, I mean, I know he's supposed to play from what I heard. And you never know with Carroll. He's talking up Lacey and Rawls as his early down guys, but then watch CJ Procise walk out there on first down and end up getting like 40 touches.
Yeah, I mean, I stayed away from that whole situation. I was like, let me let everybody else, play that guessing game. I have no confidence in Lacey. Probably nobody does. Procise and Rawls, we haven't even seen this year. I mean, to me, the guy that I chose to pick up in off the waiver wire was McKissick because at least he did something. He did something last week. I know, on limited touches, but he had the great touchdown catch. He had some yards. He's like a young, exciting guy to look at. So for me, if there's anybody who I think will at least get some production, if I had to pick out of those 4 guys, I'm going to go with McKissick. Obviously, he's not going to get the bulk of the carries, or we don't think so. We don't know it. We don't know what's going to happen. But he's the guy that I feel like has the most upside moving forward.
Yeah, he could be like Anton Smith. Remember him from a few years ago for the Falcons, where he would get like 5 touches and score 4 times, and then it was like then 2 months later he'd get another touch. It was like, I mean, come on. So you just don't know about guys like that. But that's why I'm saying I'm not starting either one of these guys, but. I would hope that, hopefully, because I don't look as we talked about with Lacey, I don't trust him at all. I don't think there's any way that Lacey is going to stay ahead of Rawls and Procise as long as those guys are healthy. So I think and so unless McKissick becomes the guy, which I'd still be surprised about, then I think in time he might decide on either Rawls or Procise. But still, that's whether or not I can still be patient with that all season long. I will say though that I would have preferred to take the guy that I did get in my other fantasy league, and that's Aaron Jones. And we talked about him last week, and now it looks like he's going to wind up starting this week. And you know what? Depending on Montgomery's injury situation, we know Jamal Williams has a history of injuries at BYU, so I'm not worried about him at all, especially since he's a rookie. But if anything happens to Montgomery, all of a sudden Aaron Jones with the Packers offense, they get Bakhtiari back, they get Bulaga back, and he might be a pretty good pickup, Dan.
He's definitely a good start for this week. I mean, he's probably, of all of the running backs who kind of emerged last week, he is probably the best start for this week for sure. And then the long term, it's all a crapshoot. You know what I mean? Like any of these guys could end up doing more in the long term. So, if I could go back, I'd probably want to grab him first too. I was a little slow on the trigger with that one. McKissick, I mean, he had obviously a great game. He had 2 touchdowns, but like how many running backs does Pete Carroll have? I mean, I think with Procise is still going to be ahead of him. I don't think, Greg, that there's any chance you're going to see Procise getting early down work.
I would agree, but
I don't think he's built like that. I don't think Carroll wants to risk. I mean, he gets banged up just doing the third down thing, so I don't see that. I definitely think Rawls or Lacey will emerge, but I'm totally 50-50. I mean, listen, Lacey's not an old guy. I mean, he's obviously been disappointing, but he's also been great recently. So he could emerge, so could Rawls. Rawls also has been great recently. The thing is, though, even though he's not getting the early down work, Procise still could definitely end up being the highest scorer, especially in PPRs.
All right, now, what happened last week? If you take a look at your team, anything in our specific league, Jamal, with last week or this week regarding a start, some debate on who you should start, or what happened last week, anything good or bad that you noticed that's worth sharing to our audience tonight?
Well, I mean, Matt Ryan continued to be a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
true. Another 12-point performance for Matt Ryan. I'm starting to lose patience. Luckily, he's on a bye week this week, so I can start Dak Prescott, who has
that should be a good one. Yeah,
he's actually
the Packers
outperformed Ryan. People, Cowboy fans or Cowboy haters especially have been all over Dak Prescott this year because he's thrown a couple of interceptions. But you look at his stats; he's had a pretty decent year. Amari Cooper, I don't know what to do with him. He had another 2. I think he scored 2.9 points for me last week.
Well, come on.
And now he loses his quarterback.
What would be your decision then? What would be your decision? Because I see guys in your team right now on your bench. Let's see. You've got LeGarrette Blount. Come on, you got to start LeGarrette Blount, can't you? You can start LeGarrette Blount. Or you don't? Do you have to start? Well, let's see. Your third receiver. Yeah, you could obviously put him as your flex, but yeah, I see that you don't have any other receivers there. You seem like you have a little bit more running game than you have receivers.
Yeah, and I made a choice to do that. But I didn't have receivers that I felt confident in. So anybody who I didn't feel like I was going to give playing time, I would drop them to make some pickups. I picked up Latavius Murray, I picked up Wayne Gallman, and dropped a couple of receivers that I wasn't going to use anyway. But that also left me with only really one backup wide receiver, and that's Allen Hurns. So I could go Allen Hurns over Cooper. I'm not really excited about that. Cooper has been horrible, and now he has EJ Manuel instead. But I still kind of think he's a better option than Hurns.
Yeah, he
is.
So
I just got to play it out.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably. I mean, even if you got 10 points out of Cooper, you'd be okay. Because you could get shut out with Hurns.
He'd be ecstatic to get 10 points out of Cooper at this point.
Oh, that's not
good.
Right,
Jamal?
I'll take it. I'll take 10 points.
10 points.
Listen, I will say this.
Considering how he's done the last few weeks, you're right. That has been pretty bad. Let's see here. You've gotten 4.5 points the last 2 weeks combined out of Amari. That is pathetic.
Yeah, I mean, that's just horrible.
I don't own those guys. So I don't know if I'd have the stones to make this move, but I'll say this. If Marquise Lee is not playing, you might really want to think about starting Hurns. not just because Cooper's been struggling, but E.J. Manuel, bro. Do you remember what E.J. Manuel was like as a quarterback?
Yeah, I do.
So I would look for this to be the breakout week for Cooper.
I've thought about Hearns.
Well, maybe you should.
Not all that seriously, but I have a couple days to think.
Hey, remember we talked on Monday about maybe, and look, we won't know until, but you never know. Maybe this is the week that Cordarrelle Patterson returns a kickoff for a touchdown. But Patterson, maybe he all of a sudden becomes a favorite target of EJ's. So, because Patterson's available, I'm sure, right? I mean, he's around.
Actually, Patterson caught a couple passes from EJ last week when Manuel was in relief. So yeah, I mean that's it looked like they have some kind of chemistry, but I mean you just I might have to go Hearns because I kind of want to stay away from all Raiders at this point.
Okay, all right.
Here's my bold statement: I wouldn't start any guy on either team in that game.
Ooh, not good.
Raiders
or Jacksonville. Ravens.
Yeah.
In that game, yeah, that is, yeah. What about last week? How did the Dez Bryant thing go for you, Jamal?
The Dez Bryant thing turned out to be. I actually ended up starting. By the way, I just have to.
See, we talked him into it. Dan.
Yeah.
No, we shamed him into it.
We shamed him into it. That's right.
I started him for Alshon Jeffrey, not Matthews. There was like a 4-point difference. Alshon Jeffrey actually had a touchdown. So, but he had 3 receptions, 29 yards for a touchdown. So he got lucky with a touchdown. Matthews played well early, had 4 receptions, like 40-something yards, and then Mariota goes down. So there went his chances. So, I mean, it was a wash, basically. Dez, I think, got me about 12, 14 points, something like that. So Dez did outperform those other 2 guys barely. But, I won. Bottom line, I won. So
hey, but the other bottom line is you got yourself, and we talked about it last week, you got yourself, I still think when by the time the season's over, you're going to be looking at the pickup Bilal Powell as one of the best pickups all season, because as long as maybe you should go and Galugi Matt Forte, make sure that he doesn't come back. What's that guy's name? Not Galugi. The guy who took the stick to what's her name? Kerrigan, Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh. Tom Gugliotta?
No, the big fat.
Pardon? What's the name?
Jeff Galooly.
Jeff Galooly, yes, the guy, the
guy.
one who stuck who took the bat to Kerrigan's knee. So that's what you need to do. You got to do a Jeff Galooly to Matt Forte, and make sure. And also probably after you do the Jeff Galooly to Forte, go knock on Todd Bowles' door, knock him on the head with the same bat, and go, "Don't you dare make me do this again," and then walk out, because that's what as long as Bowles doesn't start Forte, which he shouldn't, and he shouldn't even play him much, then I think Powell's going to have an excellent year for you.
And that's what people thought coming into the year, right? Everyone, Powell was pretty high on draft boards, relatively. Everybody assumed he was going to be the man because he outperformed Forte last year. Forte's a year older, and Bowles, has Forte getting more touches than Powell. They lose their first 2 games, and then all of a sudden he switches it up, and they start winning. It's not a direct relationship, but it has something to do with it. Luckily, this week, Forte is supposed to be out again with a turf toe. But not only Forte, when we're talking about waiver wire pickups, McGuire, Elijah McGuire became a major pickup on the waiver wire because Forte's absence also gave him more touches, and he showed he was explosive, the rookie running back, 4th-round pick for the Jets. So 4th round or 6th round? I can't remember.
6th. And look, I asked Dan Shank on the show yesterday. I went over the whole list of those running backs we just went through. And I said, which one of these running backs do you have more faith in? Who would you want this season? And he said Elijah McGuire.
Yeah.
So,
and I was at the game. I was at that game, and Bilal Powell, of all people, was just raving about Elijah McGuire, saying, he doesn't act like a rookie. He's so professional. He's explosive. And this is the guy he's fighting for carries with. So, I mean, there's no question that McGuire has major upside.
Dan?
I mean, eye test, McGuire looked like the better back. Certainly his touchdown was a lot more impressive than Bilal Powell's, which was basically everybody thought the play was over. and Falafel got up and ran. Good heads-up play, but I'm not saying I think Elijah McGuire is going to leapfrog him in the depth chart, but
No.
Long term, he looked impressive.
Yes, he's not going away anytime soon, and this is why I think I don't know. I don't think we talked about it on this show. Might have talked about it on the other show. Is that the Jets need to move Forte, and I don't care if they got to eat $4 million. You got to eat it. You eat it. You eat it because of the growth of the two running backs that you're keeping from getting touches and experience. And there are teams out there potentially like the Packers and other teams. Just imagine the Bears would feel great about that if Forte went to the Packers. But there are teams out there that are playoff Super Bowl contenders that can use a guy like Forte on their team. Maybe you wind up with some crappy draft pick, but it's better than nothing. You eat the money. And I don't think when you eat that kind of money, it's like just eating money. It's like you're spending money to have your players develop. There's a reason you're doing it, and it stunts the growth of those kids. And that's what we're seeing with the Eagles, Dan, is that I'm sorry, but there is no coincidence in my mind that the Philadelphia Eagles rushing offense has all of a sudden exploded ever since there goes Jamal's phone again. Ever since Darren Sproles has left the scene, and Sproles was the veteran. He was the guy that you can count on. And was that Dan's? I'm not sure whose phone screwed up this week. I think it's Dan's. So I'm switching the mute buttons to try to figure out whose it is. So it's actually Dan's, Jamal. But I'm speaking to Dan. So I'm gonna have to switch up the mute when I'm done, Dan. So if you're talking, nobody can hear you. So anyway, but yeah, the bottom line is that Eagle rushing attack has definitely taken off. Since Sproles is out, he's the veteran. I'm sure Peterson trusted him because he was a veteran and a reliable guy, but he's an older guy like Forte. He doesn't have the speed or even, the power of Blunt and Smallwood, that combination, which has been working perfectly the last couple of weeks. And this is what happens. We see it all the time in the NFL. A player gets hurt who probably doesn't deserve to be there, but he's an older guy, a trusted veteran guy. We're seeing it with Antonio Gates. We talked about that last week with Hunter Henry. And I guarantee you, if something happens to Antonio Gates, Hunter Henry starts and Gates is on the sideline with like a broken hand or something, Henry will probably average like 10 catches and 150 yards a week. Anyway, Dan, is your phone line better now? Sounds like it. So comment, Dan.
So.
Go ahead. You're fine.
Yeah, I mean, I made the mistake of not starting LeGarrette Blount last week for Chris Thompson. Chris Thompson did nothing, and LeGarrette Blount exploded. So, I got LeGarrette Blount starting in one of my leagues, and I got Wendell Smallwood starting in another one of my leagues. So obviously, I'm buying into the Philly running game, especially against the Cardinals.
Okay. Do you have before I go to Dan on this question, because he's always got like 3 or 4 of these, do you have a starting situation question for your own team this week, Jamal?
Yeah, I mean, even in the league we're in, I'm looking at it now. I'm not sure, who to go with that running back between LeGarrette Blount, who plays Arizona. You got Duke Johnson against the Jets. Ty Montgomery is questionable. I feel like staying away from him because he has that rib injury.
Actually, I think Ty Montgomery is now kind of doubtful. I don't think Ty Montgomery's playing at all.
I don't know. They say he practiced today, though, and they said it's just a pain issue. So I don't know. But either way, I feel like staying away from him regardless. But then I also have Latavius Murray, who's supposedly going to get all the carries from Minnesota, and Wayne Gallman. So I got 4 guys. I got Blunt, Duke Johnson, Murray, Wayne Gallman. I'll leave Wayne Gallman out. But Murray, Blunt, Duke Johnson Jr.
Yeah, I think it's easy. I'd go with Blunt. What about you, Dan?
Yeah, for 2 spots, Jamal?
Possibly
for
2.
1 spot.
Yeah, 2 spots because I'm a flex.
I go Blunt and Duke Johnson.
Okay.
So you guys don't believe in Latavius Murray from Minnesota?
No. I'm gonna have to see it.
Okay.
He
has looked terrible. Even though he's the number 1 guy there now, right? That's what they're saying.
Yeah, but look what the Minnesota running backs were like the last 2 years when it was Matt Asiata, Jerick McKinnon. Like, you can't just expect a guy to become the number one guy in Minnesota and be productive necessarily.
No, yeah, Murray's not going to be Dalvin Cook, that's for sure. And
he's not going to be Cook.
And he's been hurt, and he's been bad. Like, he was bad in the preseason.
Oh,
he
by the
lost
way,
job
didn't I see also that Smallwood's hurt?
Yeah, Smallwood's supposed to be a little bit banged up too.
Yeah, so that's even more reason to go Blunt, because Smallwood's, I think, at least questionable right now, for sure. So if that happens and he's not playing, then I don't think you even have a decision to make, because Blunt will get all the carries. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. What
about? There's Clement. They have that kid.
Yeah,
Clement
will get some touches.
I still love Blunt. If Smallwood doesn't play. I mean, I'm starting Blunt anyway.
All right. What do you have? What's your decision this week, Dan?
Well, I mean, my biggest thing is something that we were chatting about before. Is who am I going to slot in from the waiver wire for Gronk? Because there's a lot of guys you mentioned, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Jared Cook, Tyler Croft. I got to pick. I got to have to roll the dice with one of these guys. So, I'm definitely considering Austin Seferian-Jenkins. I feel like he's kind of safe to get me 4 or 5 catches at 50 yards, but I'm a little skeptical about his ceiling.
Well, most of the guys you talked about don't really have much of a ceiling this week anyway, right?
That's a very, very valid point.
Yeah. So.
So, and then in that same league, I also have a wide receiver conundrum between I've got Alshon Jeffrey and Randall Cobb that I'm choosing between.
Alshon Jeffrey. Oh, I would definitely. Well, yeah, I'd go with Cobb. Yeah, I'd go with Cobb too. I have Cobb on my other team. I know Jamal likes Cobb. And
love Cobb.
The only thing with Cobb is, and because Cobb is like any day now, any game now, he's going to have a big game because he keeps having good games when he's healthy. But it's like Jordy Nelson keeps, like, every time Aaron Rodgers seems to, like, run around for like 5 minutes, somebody that's open, it's always Nelson. And it's like, one of these weeks it's going to be Cobb, and he's going to get 2 touchdowns with 100 yards. But you can always count on Cobb to get at least every week now. You can count on Cobb for at least about 50, 60 yards and a touchdown. That's like minimum.
Right. He's always in the mix. Rodgers is very comfortable with him. The only time you have to worry about him is injury.
If he gets hurt.
That can happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, he missed the game already this season. The game before that, he was out the entire fourth quarter.
The Atlanta game. Yeah,
he was having a good game before that.
Yep.
But if he's on the field, he's going to produce.
Yeah. I don't know why. I guess it's because he keeps going to Ertz all the time, and the running backs. I mean, with Wentz being such a he doesn't seem like the kind of a quarterback that wants to do that. Maybe it's still he's a little young. He doesn't want to take his. But I don't know. Maybe it's Peterson. It's that Andy Reid type of dink and dunk offense. I don't know. But I'm kind of surprised that both Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey they're not being able to connect more with Wentz. I don't know. Again, and it's not like they don't have targets. I mean, it seems like they're lucky to catch 50% of the targets that Wentz throws his way. So something's not working. Maybe they just need to develop. They're both new receivers. He's a young quarterback. So maybe later in the season, Alshon Jeffrey will become a little bit more of a guy that you can count on. But right now, I mean, Cobb seems to be the guy. And then to keep this in mind too, Dan, this is big. Alshon Jeffrey is going to go up against Peterson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Peterson is the best cover corner in the NFL right now.
So that's a bad matchup.
Yeah, I'm leaning Cobb. Plus, I don't know if you guys know about Devonta Adams after the concussion. I'm guessing he might be out for the game too.
Yeah, I'm not even worried about it. I don't think Adams. I mean, I think Cobb always finds a way to get his touches. I'm not worried about Adams.
No, I'm not worried. But if Adams is out, I like him even better.
Sure.
But
definitely.
That's definitely the game. That's the game this week I'm most excited to watch. Green Bay, Dallas. That should be a fun rematch of last year's playoffs.
Yeah, Dallas desperate to win that game. They lose that one, and they're going to be sweating it. All right. So let me see if I have any starting questions this week. And goodbye, Kelvin Benjamin finally came through for me last week.
I was thinking of you, Greg.
I couldn't believe it. So I had the game on because I'm taping because I have my DVR. So this is what I do. At 1 o'clock, I always got the Jet game. and that's but then I can always record 4 other games. But what I do is I record 3 games plus the Jets, and then I record the 4 games on the NFL Zone, whatever it is. So I can do 4 games plus the 4 games and plus my games. I mean, you should see it's like work for me, because like I can only, and the thing is I don't really like watching stuff if I hear the score, because it takes it away from it. I might as well just see a highlight. So I'm constantly watching like half hour at a time for every game. So I'll start with the Jets from like 1 to 1:30, and then I'll go to the next game from 1 to 1:30, and so forth and so on. And so when I was watching, and you can only hear one game, so I couldn't hear what was going on in the Carolina New England game, but I was like kind of, I could watch it, but I couldn't hear it. And sometimes because the screen is a little small in the box, I can't really totally see what's going on like I'd like to. But it seemed like Funchess was getting everything to me. And so I was kind of surprised that Benjamin had as much production as he did, because I couldn't watch every play. I mean, I can't do that, but I'm trying to watch as much as I can, and I was kind of surprised that Benjamin had such a big game. So the question is, does that continue? And Detroit's actually done pretty well so far this season. Their secondary has done pretty well. The defense in general has done pretty well. So we'll find out this week whether that was a New England thing, which we've joked about before, or if it's a Detroit, or if it's a Cam Newton coming out party kind of thing. So I probably am looking at the same situation I've been dealing with, which is, well, now do I start a Seattle running back? Probably not. So I don't want to start Marshawn Lynch. So I tell you the truth, I think it's down to Richardson and Paul Richardson and Martavis Bryant. I think that is what it's down to, because Melvin Ingram's on a bye.
I mean, first of all, wasn't there was some injury with Paul? Paul Richardson was a little bit banged up this week, if I'm not mistaken. No,
he was okay.
All right, so I still like Martavis Bryant.
And Richardson gets me like he's been getting between 9 and 11 points every week. So,
yeah, no, he's definitely emerged, I'd say, as like a solid wide receiver 3.
And I'm worried about the Bryant Jacksonville matchup, because Jacksonville's they are very good against the pass, not so much against the run.
Yeah, no, they definitely are, but Martavis Bryant at home has been, in his career, nothing short of electrifying. I mean, he's been amazing. He's got something like 11 touchdowns in 12 games or something like that. It's crazy when him and Ben are at Heinz Field. So, and I made the mistake of not starting him in week 2 after a really disappointing week 1, and he went off. So they're back at home. I'm starting Martavis Bryant.
How about you, Jamal? And let's also keep in mind there is this. I think there's a rift going on in Pittsburgh because, and I think it's fairly obvious. I think some of the players in Pittsburgh are wondering if Ben Roethlisberger is really into this.
Right.
Checked out already.
I mean, Ben has been disappointing. He's had stretches with, he's been disappointing before, and he's come back, and proven he still has it. But I got to agree with Dan on this. I would go Bryant. Like you said, his history at home. Jacksonville's great against the pass, mostly because of the pass rush. So if Roethlisberger can, withstand and get the ball off, Bryant has a chance to make some plays. So, and Richardson's been solid. I think Richardson will get you. He's going to get you that 9 to 11.
But if you don't start Bryant and he has one of those big days, then you're going to regret it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Richardson's not a bad start, but I prefer Bryant.
All right. Let's now other injuries. What are we've already talked about some of them. So are there any other injuries we should be talking about? What's Dan? Any injuries that stick out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really curious to see how long Derek Carr and Marcus Mariota are going to be out. I think Marcus Mariota actually practiced today, but I don't think they're gonna play him. But I don't have either. Actually, I do have Derek Carr in one league. I don't have Mariota in any league. But the ripple effect of those guys not starting. We already talked about what's with Oakland, but Tennessee. So that has a huge effect. If you have Rashard Matthews.
Major.
Yeah.
I wouldn't touch any of those receivers with Matt Castle. Not even Delaney Walker. None of them.
But what about the running backs then? Do you now is Derrick Henry a must start because you think they're just going to ground and pound it?
I guess it all depends. I mean, I would say, still, that goes back to the question: who's the number one guy? Is it Murray or Henry?
But that's what I'm saying. If they're going to really try to take it as easy as possible on Castle, maybe they run the ball 40 times, 45 times, and maybe they both have good games.
Well, then you got to wonder whether or not the Dolphins are dumb enough to allow that to happen, because you would hope, if you're a Miami fan and in the game that's not fantasy, that they would stack the line and say you ain't running.
Right.
So, but you don't know.
I still don't think they could stop Tennessee's offensive line if they tried. I mean, the Dallas's defense has been pretty bush league this season.
How are they? Have they both, Murray and Henry, constantly every week done fine? No issues.
No, Henry was a disappointment last week.
Yeah, so that would worry me then.
Yeah.
So that would definitely.
Yeah, I don't think I'm starting.
Yeah, that would worry. That right there, because that. And by the way, the market, even if Mariota is not out, or if he's out for a week or two, this should just be the warning to anybody: don't draft Marcus Mariota as your starting quarterback, because he's always going to get hurt. This is the reason why I know, Jamal, a couple years ago when there was talk about the Jets moving up and getting Mariota, I said on the Jets show, no way. I do not trust Mariota. He's going to get hurt. He's too small. And he runs around. Guys like that need to run around, that are small like Mariota, are going to get hurt. It's a fact. That's the one thing that could stop Deshaun Watson, because he's not a big guy either. It's the one thing that could stop him if he winds up running around too much and getting hurt. Yeah. So anyone else, Dan?
I just had to say, I don't think I've ever heard of a quarterback injuring their hamstring before. Can you guys ever remember that? It's like only Marcus Mariota.
Well, that's, yeah. Running quarterbacks.
What's that?
Running quarterbacks. That's what he is.
Yeah. Jamal, you got any other injury concerns? Those were my big thing is about the quarterback.
You know what I am going to keep an eye on, by the way, when Sam Bradford comes back as a possible free agent pickup, but obviously not.
Is he actually coming back ever?
No, I don't know. I know. That's the thing.
He might play this week.
Yeah, just like Andrew Luck. He might play this week. Is Michael Floyd. I want to keep an eye on Michael Floyd and see how things go there in Minnesota, but only when Bradford comes back and Bradford plays like he did before he got hurt, which was only one game. That could be a player that maybe a lot of people have completely forgotten about, and his suspension's up, so he is eligible to play this week for Minnesota. I don't know. I mean, as far as other injuries, did you notice any others, Jamal?
No, not really. I mean, everything's pretty much been covered. Just
how about Crabtree? Is Crabtree not that we would play him anyway with the quarterback situation, but
I mean, I think you play him if you have to, right? I mean, if it's like a situation where I have, Hearns or something lesser than that. But he did practice today, and they're saying he's good to go. So, Jack Del Rio expects him to play, so he should be out there. But who's throwing to him?
Yeah, we'll see. This is his opportunity to different location, and again, because I'll tell you, I was watching that game last week before Carr got hurt, and I got to tell you guys, I mean, because after that Washington game and in this game, I'm like, what's going on here? Seriously, what? I mean, one of the best offensive lines in football. You have Cooper, you have Crabtree, you have Lynch. You're not giving touches for some stupid reason to Patterson and Richard, who are two electrifying players. What's the problem? Is it the coordinator? Is it the quarterback? And then when Carr went down, they started moving the ball. And I'm thinking, it's the quarterback? Okay, maybe that's what it was. So I don't know. I don't know what to think.
We'll see. It'll be interesting to watch. I mean, they're playing Baltimore, who's not a world beater. So it's not out of the question that they could have a decent performance, and E.J. Manuel could show us a little something. That's why I think you still kind of have to go with Amari Cooper. and maybe even Crabtree if you don't have much to fall back on. You just got to give it a chance, see what happens, because there's still two very skilled, very good players. It's possible they could, if they shorten the passing game, if they give them some little, basically wide receiver screen type action, you never know what could happen. So, we'll see. We'll see what EJ Manuel can do.
A couple of guys you targeted as players on the rise last week, Dan, or at least one was a player, one was a position, actually came through. Will Fuller had a good game in his first game back for the Texans. So what about Will Fuller now? And then Detroit's defense. Now, they didn't put up a whole ton of points, but they did limit Minnesota and did their job. And again, as I mentioned before, with the Carolina situation, Detroit's defense is playing better this season, and that's the reason why they're a more complete team, and it's not just all Matthew Stafford, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I grabbed Detroit in a bunch of leagues, and I even dropped KC in one league because every game, we have 4 games now, Detroit's been in double digits, and they've played some pretty good offenses, between Falcons and Vikings, and no matter who they're playing, they seem to come up with these points. I don't know if it'll last, but you got to play the hot hand with the DST. So I like Detroit, and yeah, it's a little risky, obviously, against Carolina the way they played last week, but I don't know. Is it Cam's breakthrough where it's going to turn the season around, or did they just really kind of get up for playing in New England? And it's going to be back to the same sort of slow plodding, what's wrong with Cam Panthers that we had for the first 3 games.
It's been what's wrong with Cam during this past week, just at the press conference. So who knows what we're going to see from him?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's that kind of situation could be a distraction. So
I think that Cam Newton is the best football player in the world if he's healthy. Okay. And I just don't know if he's healthy.
All right. And he keeps his mouth shut.
Yeah. And he wears funky hats.
Yeah. Wow. And it was funny that
he wears rompers too, not just hats.
See, isn't it funny? Everybody, can't in today's day, in today's social media existence, and you always got to comment immediately on stuff. And it's funny, like a couple hours later, you hear about the reporter's tweets from 4 or 5 years ago. And what did she say, Jamal? What did she? She said some sort of racist things in her tweets or something like that.
I guess someone went fishing in her Twitter account, went back 4 years, and saw that she had said something. It was really about her father being racist. Like, she said she was driving through Navajo country, and her father was making racist jokes and how great it was.
Oh, she was laughing at the racist jokes. That's right.
She was laughing at her father's racist jokes. Yeah.
Well, you see, look, that could be explainable. That could be explained away. It's my dad. I gotta laugh. What am I? She could turn that around and go, he beats me, so I have to laugh.
It's just a really interesting thing to choose to tweet.
It is. That's true.
I can see being in the situation, tweeting it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that was 4 or 5 years ago. So we've come a long way on Twitter.
Yeah. It's shaky. It's shaky. It doesn't take away what Cam basically said about all women, but it does make you feel a little less sorry for her.
It does, no question. All right, guys. So we'll call it a night. Anything else before we let you guys go? We'll be back hopefully to our we haven't even had our new day and time, 6:30 yet. So we were supposed to do that tonight, but hopefully we'll have a 6:30, unless of course your very excitable son winds up causing problems again.
Possible.
Anything's possible.
Definitely possible.
And I guess you're not at the net game tonight in Brooklyn. So
yeah, I decided to sit that one out. Miami Heat. I was looking at the roster and I was like, pass.
Yeah, it was on. The net game wasn't even on. I don't even know why they would black it out on like Madison Square Garden. You're blacking out a preseason basketball game, so they blacked it out and didn't even replay it anywhere. And so I go, oh, okay, good. It's on NBA TV tonight. So I taped it. So I started watching. I turned on to the beginning. Welcome to Miami Heat basketball. I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. I go, because in the preseason, they don't ever know anything about the opposition team, especially with their young players and what they're doing. And the only reason you want to watch preseason and listen to the announcers is they're going to tell you stuff on what's going on. And I get the heat damn broadcasters on NBA TV. So anyway, we'll have to do a net show soon. Jamal. Yeah, that'll be coming up soon. Who are you a fan of? You watch basketball at all, Dan?
Yes, I'm a lifelong Knicks fan. I tried.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, no, it's sad. Knicks and Jets. And Mets. That's my that's the burden I carry in my life.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot you're a Jet fan too.
That's right.
We're all Jet fans.
Now, speaking of the Jets, I got one question that I'd love to leave you guys with. I already threw this out at Jamal over text. I'd love to hear what you think, Greg. I need an eliminator pool pick. So I need one team to win this week. However, here's the catch. It cannot be the Patriots, so that game's already started. It cannot be the Eagles, and it cannot be the Steelers. So that eliminates any favorite of more than 3 points.
Okay. And so what you're thinking about the Jets because Cleveland stinks?
I'm thinking about the Jets
now,
because
this
Cleveland
is one of those
stinks.
things where once you take the team, then you don't take them the rest of the year.
Exactly. They just need a win.
Well, if there's ever going to be an easy, can't-miss win for the Jets, this would be it. This would be
the road.
This would be the game, though, wouldn't it? I mean, what other game are the Jets going to play where you would feel confident? Because sooner or later, you got to take them.
Well, not necessarily, because it might not last the whole season. You don't end up taking, every team.
Yeah, but what happens if you're like 14-0, and in Week 15 the Jets are playing the Patriots? You're like, I'm screwed.
Yeah, I'll take anybody else over that. But for now, I just want to survive. I just want to survive in advance. So I'm debating between the Jets, the Giants hosting the Chargers in the 0-8 Bowl,
Jets,
and then Detroit, who we talked about, who's looked great.
Jets.
And I'm not sure which Panthers are going to show up.
Jets. And I'm not saying that because I think that the Jets are a lock. I just Detroit, Carolina, I mean, that's a good team they're going up against. And Giants, even though I think the Giants you would think they're overdue because they're not that bad. When you go with an 0-4 team as opposed to a team that's actually feeling good about themselves, they've won a couple straight, they're playing a terrible team with a rookie quarterback. If you lose and the Giants lose and Jets win, you're going to go, why did I take the Giants? They're 0-5.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
but the Chargers are winless too, and they've been losing all these close games too. So
their coach sucks though. Anthony Lynn has no idea what he's doing.
So then
he'll
by
be
that
fired.
Logic, maybe I do take the Giants. Although I don't think Ben McAdoo knows what he's doing either.
Yeah, maybe Sean Payton will be the coach of the Giants next year. His contract runs out.
I'm not so sure how good a coach he is.
Well, does have a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'll take Sean Payton over. I would love to get Ben McAdoo out of New York. I can't stand looking at him. He looks like a pedophile, and I just can't stand looking at him with his big Denny's menu. Get out of here.
Who?
McAdoo.
Oh, McAdoo looks like a pedophile.
Come on. This isn't the 80s. Get rid of that mustache, man.
I've seen pedophiles that look like him.
Okay. Very interesting. Well, we'll see. Hey, look, in New York is if they don't have a good season with that payroll, it's not even going to be a question. But, I mean, the Maras, though. Sometimes they're a little bit long to fire guys. But, Sean Payton. Look, I think the only thing with Sean Payton is he just hasn't had luck with. It's not like, we understand he kind of runs the team, but he really doesn't have. And he's never always had complete control over everything in New Orleans. So he's not like Bill Belichick. So if he had Reese getting players and they actually had a good defensive coordinator, I think Payton is clearly an above average head coach.
Definitely an offensive mind. You got to give him that.
Yeah. Now, thing is, what happens when there's no Drew Brees and Eli Manning's dead? How many more years does Eli Manning have?
He might be dead already.
I don't know if he'll make it through this year.
Yeah, he might be. So the Giants will be looking at, what's the kid that they got from California next year? A rookie.
Rosen?
No, they drafted a kid from California last year. But you never know. The Giants, if they keep playing this poorly, See, we were talking about the Jets with a top quarterback pick. If the Giants keep playing like this, maybe the Giants will get one of those quarterbacks. Because they'll draft one. I mean, no doubt.
They need it either way. Look, I mean, Eli's been he's been amazingly consistent as far as not getting hurt.
Yeah.
But he is, I think 37 now, 38. Like, there's only a couple more years left in the tank, I think. Max.
Yeah, these guys that like Roethlisberger, Rivers, Eli, they're all starting to get old. So, and even Breeze. Breeze is 38, right?
Yeah, but Breeze is still doing it.
Yeah, he's still smoking. So, all right, guys. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you next Thursday, hopefully around 6:30. Because usually when I do shows late, I'm a little bit wired, so I'll probably be in bed by 1. So I appreciate that, guys. I'll call you when I'll call me to wake up because I'll need to wake up. Actually, I get up at 6 in the morning. So, what time do you guys get up?
Whenever the baby starts crying.
Oh, that's got to be what normally.
I usually manage to sleep until around 7:30.
That's not bad.
But never later than that.
Jamal?
Yeah, about 7.
That's not
7:30.
bad. That's okay. All right, guys. So enjoy. Best of luck with your teams this weekend. I know we're not playing each other unless you guys are playing each other because, like I said, I've already played both of you already. So
yeah, I don't think we're playing each other.
I don't think we are, but we're in 3 leagues together, and his wife is in a few of those leagues too. So there's a good chance I'm playing someone at least related to
him. Okay.
I think my wife is 4-0 in our league, by the way.
Hey, that's good.
Ring her.
She knows what she's doing. How long?
Good draft. She was my draft list.
She's got a good teacher, right, Jamal?
Exactly.
Yeah, even though I'm sure she probably wouldn't appreciate that comment.
Not
Teacher?
Not at all.
I don't need no teacher.
Jamal, didn't she win? Didn't she win one of the leagues we were in last year?
Yeah, she won my league.
Ten is the new black?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, maybe we should get her on.
I mean, maybe. She's been doing this a long time.
Good for her. That's awesome. All right, Jamal. All right, Dan. Appreciate it, guys. That will wrap it up here on the show. Again, we'll be back next week at, hopefully 6:30 in the morning. 6:30 in the morning. 6:30 in the evening. I definitely don't want to do 6:30 in the morning. It's the whole reason we got out of this mess in the first place. Anyway, we'll see you again real soon here on the Ourlads Football Radio Network. Don't forget to check out our iTunes pages or YouTube pages on the Prime Sports Network for all our on-demand shows. You can also check out daily football content at Ourlads.com, including Jamal. Yeah, Jamal, you got your fantasy report tonight, or is that coming in tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. Jamal said tomorrow morning, in case you didn't hear him over the music. Anyway, questions or comments to participate on the show, send your messages. Follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. For Dan Weinrich and Jamal Murphy, I'm Greg DePalma. Thanks for tuning in to the Ourlads Football Radio Network.